Hi, we're not on the range today. We're at one of our training facilities, so please bear with a wide variety of noises in the background. Occasionally people ask me about what kinds of ammunition I use for concealed carry, personal protection, home defense, and we have a couple of presentations on that. But today what I want to do is walk you through the process I use in selecting ammunition. And to help me illustrate that, I'm going to use my Ruger GP100 caliber 44 Special. Up until now, I've been using Hornady Critical Defense 44 Special 165 grain FTX projectile, but I recently acquired this Grizzly ammunition, which is 44 Special 240 grain jacketed hollow point. And so I'm going to put it through my testing process and see if that's the kind of ammunition that I want to use. Now, this comes with a few caveats. First, nothing I say today should be inferred as a tutorial. I'm not trying to tell you anything, I'm only trying to illustrate the process I use. Secondly, even though I'm going to use my 44 Special revolver to help me illustrate that process, we're not really talking about 44 Special. We already have a lengthy, tedious presentation on that caliber. And third, nothing I say today should be inferred as a tutorial or a recommendation. I'm not trying to give you any advice. I'm only demonstrating the process that I use. Okay, with that, let's get started. The process I use for selecting ammunition is a 5-step process. Each step is a prerequisite to the next step. If the ammunition does not pass step 1, step 2 becomes moot. If it passes step 1 but fails step 2, step 3 becomes moot. And the first step is what I call reproducibility. Just because they had one box of ammunition on the shelf, does that mean I can get more? Is the ammunition even still being made? How many stores carry it? Can I order it online? Well, the Grizzly ammunition has so far passed step 1. The place I bought this, Garner's in Pendleton, Oregon, had several boxes on the shelf. They frequently restock this ammunition. I can reproduce it. So from there we go to step 2, which is accuracy. Now, step 2 has 2 parts, but they're both of equal importance. 2A, accuracy in the sense of how good a group am I going to get with my handgun, and 2B is that group going to be in the same place as my practice ammunition. So I'm going to go back 10 yards and I'll shoot the target on your left with my practice ammunition, which is 44 Special 200 grain round nose lead. And then I'll shoot the target on your right with the Grizzly ammunition, which is 44 Special 240 grain jacketed hollow point. And let's see how the groups compare for size of group and location of group. Practice ammo, looks like we're good to go. However, with the Grizzly ammo, that first shot that was low, that was just me. The rest of the group, as far as location of the group, looks great. But the group itself isn't all that good. Was that the ammo or just me? We'll put up a new target and shoot this group again. So with this group, I think we can conclude that both the location and size of the group are perfectly acceptable. Let's go on to step 3. The next step is the chronograph. I've got the chronograph set up at 7 yards. I have my GP100 with a 3-inch barrel loaded with our Grizzly ammunition. This ammo has an advertised velocity stamped on the box of 950 feet per second. Now, if you've seen our presentation on 44 Special, you know that a 44 Special with a 240 grain bullet 950 feet a second would be very impressive. Let's see what kind of numbers I get. .706. 707. 705. 720. And 701. Let's go crunch the numbers. I crunched the numbers, and rounding down to the nearest whole number, I got a mean velocity of 707. That comes with the caveats that chronographs don't always agree with each other, and certain environmental factors like ambient temperature and elevation can affect chronograph results, but still, 707 is 243 feet per second less than the advertised velocity. That's very disappointing. And it seems so far out of character that off camera I fired a few more shots just to confirm that, and I did. 707. Now this brings up a question that some people occasionally ask, which is, have I ever shot the chronograph? Okay, there's a reason that I'm doing things today in the order that I'm doing them. Sometimes I'll be dialed in with my practice ammunition, but whatever ammo I'm testing will hold a good group, but somewhere else. That's why I do the accuracy testing before the chronograph segment. That, I think, is beneficial to the health of the chronograph. However, just knowing the velocity that I'm getting doesn't really matter for much, except that that's just knowledge so that when someone asks me what velocity I'm getting, I can tell them. What really matters is that hollow point projectiles are velocity based. You have to get it up to a certain velocity for your hollow point to expand, and we call that expansion threshold. Now, 707 feet per second doesn't give me a lot of optimism that we're there. But whatever velocity will be expansion threshold is going to be different for different types of projectiles. So now that brings us to our fourth segment, which is testing expansion. Let me show you what I mean. Step 4 on my list is the water jug test. Now there's people who will say you don't learn anything from shooting water jugs, that this is completely superfluous. Let me explain what I'm doing here. This is a very flimsy plastic water jug, so the wall of this jug does not make much of a barrier. In my opinion, water jugs like this are an almost perfect medium for hollow point expansion. And so when I say that, people will say that if this is an almost perfect medium, maybe we should shoot something that isn't, and perhaps a better analog for the intended target. Okay, let me explain this. Just because a hollow point will expand in this almost perfect medium does not mean it will expand in the intended target. So let's look at the reciprocal of that. If a hollow point won't expand in this, it most certainly won't expand in the intended target. So before I go to the trouble and expense of creating a more realistic analog, let's start by shooting this. And if we don't get hollow point expansion here, then it renders 0.5 moot. So I've got my GP100 loaded with the Grizzly ammunition. I'll shoot some water jugs from 7 yards, catch the bullets in our new and improved high-tech Fleece bullet stop, and let's see what kind of expansion we get. So far, not very impressive. So we got a new water jug. Let's try another shot. Still not very impressive. Let's try one more shot. Well, I shot 3 water jugs, recovered 3 bullets. Let's take a close-up look at them. Well, here's our 3 bullets. This one, the hollow point opened up maybe just a little. This one actually peeled the jacket back just a little bit. So in terms of expansion, I can't say it was 0, but pretty close to 0. How close? This is in the category of, you got change for a nickel? So let's recap. We have a 5-point process. Point 1 is reproducibility. Pass. Point 2, accuracy. Pass. Point 3, the chronograph. That's not really pass-fail. That's more for information. Point 4, water jug test. Fail. This ammunition was a no-go at that station, which renders point 5, the meat target analysis, moot. However, I knew there would be a lot of people that would be upset if I didn't make up some excuse to shoot a meat target, so we're going to shoot it anyway. Right about now is when I normally say, for those who haven't seen it before, the meat target is, and I ramble on about the anatomy of the meat target. Today, for those who haven't seen it before, and even more so for those who have seen it before, listen carefully to the anatomy of this meat target. It's leather jacket skin followed by beef steak pectorals. beef ribs, a bag of oranges to simulate lung tissue, more beef ribs on the back, 4 layers of t-shirt on the front, 4 layers on the back, and the whole thing followed by the new and improved high-tech fleece bullet stop. Normally I use pork products, but we're in a situation right now where the things I want to buy aren't always available at the store. And of course there's a reason for that situation, and I'm going to use a code word to describe it. And the code word is beer. I'm going to use the word beer, and I'd really appreciate it if you use the word beer in the comments section. Okay, that having been said, I've got my GP100 revolver. It's a 5-shot revolver. I have it loaded with 3 rounds of the Grizzly ammunition, and as a basis of comparison, I'm also going to shoot 2 rounds of the Hornady Critical Defense 44 Special 165 grain FTX projectile. So I'll shoot the pro wrestler meat target from 7 yards, and let's see what kind of results we get. So when it comes to shooting beef ribs, a couple of the rounds hit the ribs on the front of the target and broke them. A couple of them hit ribs and were deflected between the 2 ribs. As far as penetration, our 2 Hornady Critical Defense rounds, one was stopped by the t-shirt on the back of the target, one was stopped by the ribs on the back of the target. The Grizzly ammunition, 1 round made it through to about the 25th layer of fleece, 1 was stopped in the orange lung tissue, and 1 just managed to mangle a bungee. Let's take a close-up look at these rounds. And here's our bullets. One of our critical defense rounds flattened out quite a bit, lost its jacket. The other one has just perfect expansion. As far as our Grizzly rounds, 1 did not expand at all and made it well into the fleece. This is the one that hit the hook on the bungee. And then this one didn't expand as much as it was just mangled by hitting the ribs. Altogether, I would say that the critical defense ammunition gives better performance. Now, there's one more thing I want to add. Remember, we were not talking about 44 Special. Just that revolver in that caliber helped me illustrate my 5 points. But on the subject of 44 Special, the ammunition is out there, and there are many varieties of it, but it's not as common as a lot of other calibers. And you might not find the ammo for it at Megalo Mart. A lot of times you'll have to go to one of those small, very well-stocked gun stores. That's where I got my ammo, both the kind that didn't work and the kind that worked. But the takeaway from today is my 5 points were reproducibility, accuracy, chronograph, water jug, meat target. And remember, of course, that's the process I use. I'm not advocating that you should use the same process. So as always, don't try this at home on what you call a professional, and thanks for watching my 5-point test video.